Hello and welcome to amomii's Coding Colors bonus lesson 1. I am Sean, and in today's lesson I'll be showing you how to set up a matrix, build the amomii tower project, and use custom functions that I wrote specifically for this project. To follow along with this lesson and build a project, you'll need the amomii glow kit, including all of the wires it comes with, a microcontroller, a computer with the Arduino IDE installed on it, 2 sheets of cardboard, A3 or bigger, access to a printer that can print A3, wide double-sided sticky tape, a sheet of white printer paper, and a sharp knife for cutting the templates. If you aren't an adult, make sure you have help from one when cutting the templates. I don't want any bloody fingers on my conscience. A little side note about the microcontroller. I'm using the amomii Uno, which can handle more power than regular Arduino Uno R3s. If you are not using the amomii Uno, you may need to use an external power source or turn the max brightness down in the code to prevent it from cutting out. Alright, let's build it. On the lesson page, you'll see a link to the templates. Download it and you will find 2 PDFs, amomii tower box and the amomii tower diffuser. These templates are for A3 paper. When you print them, you must print them at the original size with no borders or margins. Stick the templates to the cardboard box using double-sided tape. Be sure to cover as much of the back with tape as possible. That's why wider tape is a good option. Cut out the templates. Note that the red lines indicate where to cut, the dashed lines show where to bend, and the solid blue lines show where to mount your equipment. Cut the white paper and stick it to the underside of the amomii tower diffuser. Be sure that it completely covers the window. Make the box and stick the sides, but leave it open. Secure the microcontroller in the box. Put the 8 glow strips in position. It is important to orientate them correctly. The arrows on the strips in the first column must be pointing up, pointing down in column 2, up again in column 3, and finally down in column 4. Basically, you should be able to follow the arrows with your finger from the first pixel to the last, going up, down, up, down. Next up, you need to wire them. You should follow the wire diagram to make sure that it's correct and double check it before powering it up. You can download that from the web page. But basically, you can connect the input of the first strip to the microcontroller with the ground going to ground, 5 volts going to 5 volts, and the signal pin connecting to pin 9. Then connect each strip one by one, following the arrows, with the output of the first strip connecting to the input of the next, making sure that ground is connected to ground, 5 volts to 5 volts, and signal to signal. Note that the first strip is at the bottom left when looking from the top, but bottom right when looking from the inside. This is the one that connects to the microcontroller. Again, double check everything before proceeding, as bad wiring can damage the hardware or even overheat and cause injury. When all looks good, you can run the test code. I definitely recommend running the test code before sticking the box closed, just to make sure that everything's working. You can download the test code from the lesson page. Download the code file, unzip it, find the CC bonus 1 folder and open the code inside. When the Arduino IDE opens, select the correct COM port and board, then hit the upload button. If all is correct, your light should start glowing beautiful patterns like this. If yours are working properly, proceed to the next step, but if not, run through the wiring again and give it a try. Now stick the box closed and find the correct height for your diffuser. The closer you mount your diffuser to the LEDs, the greater the separation between the pixels will be. But if you mount it far away, the colors will blend together. With the tower built, let's move on to the code and see how you can customize the lighting effects using the CC bonus 1 code as a starting point. Alright, so as you can see, my amomii tower is already glowing with the patterns from when you did the setup and you uploaded the test code. That's what we're going to use as a starting point, and I'm going to teach you how to create any of these different effects and teach you how to use the functions that I've already written. So if you open up the CC bonus 1 code that you probably already downloaded while you were building your amomii tower, you can see that if you scroll down, it might seem quite intimidating. It's full of all these long functions with different techniques used that we haven't covered before. But don't worry about it. to use these functions, you only need to learn about the stuff inside of the loop here. Right, so we're going to go through that in today's lesson. However, if you are interested in learning a bit more about code and getting a bit more in depth of it, you might consider getting the Amomii Uno if you haven't already, and going through this book that I wrote that teaches coding a bit more in depth, various techniques and other such wonderful bits and bobs. But that's for another day. Right now, let's concentrate on using these functions that are already pre-written and manipulating them using basic commands. So we'll go through that today. I'll quickly go over the code so you can kind of know your way around. But like I said, the only bit you need to change is inside of the main loop. So from the top here, we've just said how many LEDs we've got. We're using 64, which is our 8 times 8. The data pin is 9. That's connected to the amomii Uno pin 9. Rows is 16. We've got 16 rows going up, and columns, we just have 4 columns. So if we think of how many pixels are going up the tower, there's 16 and there's 4 pixels across. So that is correct. We've got all this different stuff that we'll be using, all of these different variables and arrays that we'll be using to occupy the LEDs array with information before we send it to the hardware for the colors. Again, you don't need to change any of this, but a couple here that you can change is this delay time here controls how fast everything's happening. So if you wanted to play around with that and change the speed of all of the animations and movement, it's this number that you can change. We'll learn more about that soon. The setup we don't need to worry about. Now you can see here we've got this function here, T101 setup. Basically all this is doing is setting up this multi-dimensional array and telling our code where each pixel is. Because if you think about it, the pixels are going up and down and up and down. So we need some kind of way of organizing it. And the way we organize it is using this multi-dimensional array. And this kind of complicated function here does the organizing for us. And it tells us that the pixels, although they start down here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it doesn't start again down here. It actually goes up, down, up, down, up, down like that. So, because if you think about it, when you connected them, it was going up, then down, then up, then down. So this, that's what this one does. But you don't really need to understand what's going on in there, but feel free to look at it. So we've got, these are the different functions that we've got that we can use to create these various patterns. So we'll look at them one by one. So we've got spin up, spin down, hoop up, hoop down, single hoop up, single hoop down, cross hoop, rainbow stack up, rainbow stack down. So these are the different functions that I made up just to have fun with, and we can look at them one by one. So the way I'm going to do this, we've got all of them here, so we don't have to rewrite them. But what we can do is we can just highlight everything from here down and hit Control / and that will turn everything into comments. So the code's there, we can just delete it when we don't need it. So we'll just look at each function one by one. So here we've got spin up, hue. So here we can put any value in. Let's not use these variables for now. Let's just put a number in so we know exactly what's happening. So if we said spin up 255, that would mean we know that the hue for 255 is red. So we'll use red in our example. I mean, if you don't know what I'm talking about here, when I'm saying 255 equals red, you might want to go back to the regular coding colors lesson 2 and look at our different color protocols, and that will explain it. Okay, so here you put in the different HSV values that you want to use, and then you put your delay time. So this is going to control how fast the animation works. Let's just see what it looks like, and then you might understand it a bit easier. So I've just hit upload, done uploading, and you can see it kind of spins up. The way it works is it goes 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So that it's filling up the whole block with a color going this way. Let's see if we can slow it down. You can see it better. So instead of writing delay time, right now we're using the variable at the top. We can just put a number in. So let's say we said 50. and we uploaded it, it's going to move a lot slower now because before it was 15. See, it's moving like that. So that's what this effect does. If you want to change the color, you can change the hue, saturation, and vibrance values. Let's try just doing a random different color. Let's put 100 here. Change the saturation to 205 and keep the vibrance or the brightness at full brightness. Let's see how this looks. So now we've got a green. So basically what we're saying is that you can change the color with these ones, and you can change the speed it moves with these ones. And basically anytime you want this function to happen, you simply write spin up and then put the details you want and do it. So this line of code is going to make that effect happen. You can probably guess what spin down is going to do. It does exactly the same. Let's say we want it to spin up in green, then spin down in red. So it kind of builds up in green, then builds down in red. We could put our code for red in there. Say we do it the same speed at 50. Let's see what happens. So the first line of code is going to make it spin up in green. When it gets to the top, it'll spin down in red. And it'll just keep, right now, this is the only pattern we've got because everything else is commented out. So it'll just keep looping these codes going up and down. So that looks pretty good. Now, before I make too many changes, I'm going to press undo. And I've gone back to this step here. Now, why do you think I've done that? We started making changes to the code, but I didn't change the file name. So I kept saving over the code and colors bonus one. So I made a mistake that you guys shouldn't. I'm not going to erase this from the video. I'll just leave it in because yeah, it's a good little tip that you should always start any new code by going to save as and giving it a new name. And then anything in the previous code you're not going to lose. You still got it. So we'll call this CC bonus custom. Just add custom to the end. And it doesn't matter what we do to it. It's a new file. It doesn't matter. All right. Let's go back down to the main loop. So now you know what the spin up function can do. We can comment these out. Control and /. And let's look at the single hoop up and single hoop down. I'm going to comment all of these out again. That's control and comment. I think you can also go to tools, comment, uncomment. You can see it's in edit, sorry. So if you can also do that. If you highlight things and then click this one here, it's going to comment them out. All right, so here we go. Let's have a look what single hoop looks like. Again, instead of using the variable, I'll just keep using red as my example. So 255 delay time. Let's make it 50 again, so it's nice and slow. Upload this and let's see what hoop looks like. So hoop up just sends a line flying up like that. You can probably guess what hoop down is going to do. Again, if we uncomment this one and let's say we change this to some kind of green color, same delay time of 50, and we press this one, it's going to hoop down. So a hoop just means like a stripe. The reason it's hoop is when I first wrote this function, it was for a project I had that was 3-dimensional. So it was like a ring going up, hoop. So I just kept the function name. I got used to it. All right, so you can see now it's going up red and down green. So this hoop up function is making it go up, and the hoop down is making it go down, which we set the colors with the first 3 numbers, and we set the speed of the movement with the last one. That's it. Super simple. All right, I'll comment these out. So that was single hoop up and single hoop down. Let's see what hoop up, hoop down does without the single in front. Let's just keep it hoop up for now. I will do both at the same time. I'll stick with red and green. You can do any color you like. Delay time, let's stick with our 50. And our 50. Let's see what happens here. So this one also fills up straight, but it's not a single line. Hence the single hoop is just one line at a time. And the one without the word single in front just fills it up flat and fills it up from the bottom, one line at a time. All right. Let's comment these ones out and move on to the next one. Next one is cross hoop. You can probably guess what this one's going to do. So here we've got a bit more information to put. We put the first color here. Again, it's HSV value, so 255. Full saturation, full brightness. And then our second color is going to be, again, we'll stick with green, 100, 255, 255. And delay time is the last one. Let's put 50 again. So just to go over this again, for the cross hoop, you have to put two colors because basically it's lines that cross each other like that. The first three values here are the HSV values for the first color. And then this is the HSV values for the second color. And then this is the speed of movement. So let's upload that. And you can see they cross over like that. So the red one goes up, and when they reach the end, they switch colors. There we go. That's how these ones work. All right, let's comment that out. And then here we've got another. Oh, this is just cross hoop again. So I'm just going to leave that one. The reason this got cross hoop is because in the animation that I made, you can see that I keep changing the hue. We'll talk about this later. So it was doing the cross hoop, but slowly changing through the different hues. Okay, let's look at rainbow stack up and rainbow stack down. Pretty self-explanatory. But rainbow stack up, again, you put the hue, saturation, and vibrance, and the delay time. And basically this means the first color. So whatever the first color is will go down, then the next color, and it will kind of build a rainbow. So the stack up will move up and create a rainbow by stacking things up, and then stack down will be falling down. Perhaps it's easier for me to just show you. So this is rainbow stack up, starting with the color red. And you can see it goes up, and the very first color is red, and then slowly it goes, fills through all the different colors in the rainbow. Very nice. And then it resets, of course, at the end. Okay. Comment that out, and then we can see rainbow stack down. Let's do this one green. And again, that just means the very first color will be green, and then it follows through the different hues after the first color. So we're starting with green this time. All right, that's great. Now if we, let's see, put both of them, it's going to do the stack starting from one side and then starting from the other, and it looks pretty cool. So as you can see, that's a pretty nice effect. And you could just uncomment any of the ones that you want. For example, like if I wanted to have them rainbow stacks keep going, but then every now and then it does the rainbow stack up, the rainbow stack down, then it comes around, does the cross hoop one time. You can see you can just add any ones that you like, and it's going to work quite nicely together. Let's try. I'll put in a random color for this one. See, I did that. And you can see I've got the slow cross hoop, and then I've got the rainbow fill. And I'll do the cross hoop again and the rainbow fill. So you can see it's pretty nice. By combining these different functions together, you can create all different effects. You can change the order, you can change the speed, and you can get pretty creative with it. Now I'm going to go back, go to File, Open Recent, and open the original one, the CC bonus one. If you've accidentally saved over yours, don't worry about it. You can always just re-download the original from the lesson page. And let's see how we've created this kind of changing hue. Let's try and figure out what all of this means. All right, so you see we start with red and it goes green. It's slowly fading through and the colors are always changing. So now now it'll go back. Now it's blue and orange, where the first time it was red and some other color. So let's explain how this is happening. So basically it's just looping through all of the different functions. The delay time is set by the variable delay time. So you can see that all of these functions end with the word delay time. That means that if I wanted to change the speed of the thing overall, I would just change this. Let's say I wanted it to be way faster. Let's say I wanted it to be like a delay of 7 milliseconds. So the lower the number, the faster the effect's going to be. So you can see that this one's going to be super quick now. Right, much faster. I think it looks better a little slower, to be honest. So let's try it even slower. Let's do like 30 millisecond delay. Let's see how that looks. Now it's slowed down quite a bit. Right, and that's quite nice. So as you can see, by just changing this delay time, because we're using this variable, this global variable that we've used in all these different functions, you just need to change the value once and it will change the speed of all of them. All right, back down to the loop. Now we have this thing, hue plus equals hue spread. Now that might be a little confusing. So let's, plus equals something means whatever the value of itself is, plus whatever the value of this is now assigned to this. So let's say hue was 10 and hue spread was 20, for example. After this line of code, hue would be itself, which is 10, plus hue spread, which is 20. So after this line of code, hue would go from being 10 to being 30. 10 plus 20. All right. So let's think about that. Hue is up here. It is a byte array, is a byte variable, sorry. That means it will never go past 255. If the value goes past 255, it will reset back to 0. All right, so if we just keep adding to this, it's always going to be going through the numbers back to 0, back around, back to 0. That's a little bit incorrect. It won't reset back to 0. For example, if you said hue equals 255 plus 5, then it would go back to 0 and then past however far past you were going to go past 255, that's how many you would go past 0. So 255 plus 5 would, in this case, equal 5. I hope that makes sense. All right, and then the hue spread means how, in what big steps do you want it to be? It's at 20, so each time you have this hue plus equals hue spread, it means it's going to be an extra 20 added to it. So it's just going to keep going up by 20. So if you want it to change through the colors quicker, you would just change this value to a bigger value. If you wanted to change through them slower, you'd use a smaller value. All right, so let's keep explaining this. So after each different effect, after each different function, we just change the value of hue by using this, what we talked about, and run the next function, change the value of hue, and so on. So hue is just always changing the value of hue. Now, instead of putting a value where the hues are, we are using the variable hue. And here, if you're wondering why I've got this plus 127, in some of our functions, we need two colors, right? Like the cross loops, we need two colors. And I wanted them to be colors that were very different to each other. So hue equals hue plus 127. Well, this number 127 is significant because it's basically half of 255. So it'll be the color that's on the other end of the spectrum. So the opposite of red will be some bluey, greeny kind of color, right? So if you notice any of the times that we've got like crossing different colors, the colors are very different to each other. For example, that's the green and a red going over each other. And when we have the cross hoops, you can see that they're opposite colors, and that's why. If you read through this a few times, it should make sense. And yeah, that's basically it. So have a play around with it. You can't break it. You can just delete all of this and then just put in the functions that you want to use. You can change the speed of them. You can mess around and see what you can come up with. And I would love to see what you do. All right, that's it for this lesson. But I would love to see what you come up with. If you're willing to share, consider joining the Coding Colors Facebook group and uploading a video of your project. You can also use this group to see other people's work, ask questions, and kindly offer help to others. In the next lesson, we'll teach you how to build the amomii display box and code it to show pixel art and scroll text. See you there. Bye.